Hey there YouTube, welcome back to the One Brain Four Wheels channel, or if this is your first time, then thank you for stopping by today. So today's video is going to be less fun and more informational for anyone that has one of this generation of Chevy Suburban that I'm in today. I think like 2000 or 2001 up until 2006, that generation of the Suburban 1500 or 2500, that is what I own. But yeah, less fun and more informational. Today I'm going to do a little, not really maintenance, but just taking care of a little detail on the car that is kind of showing some age. Now this car is, God, I don't know, like 13, 14 years old, the 2003. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you. We are going to take off the door panels in this car and actually repaint all of these speaker grills, because as you can see from the video here, you know, this looks like maybe I might have spilt some like soda or just gotten some crap here on the grate, but that's actually the metal resting, and that's showing up on pretty much all of the speaker grates that are located on the doors in this car. And so I kind of just want to give them a little refresher. I'm going to go ahead and take the door panels off and then give them a light sand, prime them, and then repaint them with paint that matches the same paint that GM used up there on the dash and stuff like that. It's I'll talk more about what the color is, but it's that color. So yeah, so that's what our video is going to entail today. I guess I should also mention that all of these steps really apply to a lot of different GM vehicles, at least these truck-based SUVs and the trucks made by GM from this time period. So this will work on the Silverados, the GMC Sierra, Yukon, Yukon XL, Tahoe, etc. These are all the exact same steps. Also, I haven't looked at myself in the mirror lately, but I'm sure I look like shit right now, so you're gonna have to excuse my appearance. I woke up really early this morning and did the color run. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but representing right here. But yeah, so I got home from that and I haven't taken a shower yet. I want to kind of start on this, so you're gonna have to excuse all this. Let's get started, but first we'll go ahead and go through all the supplies you need, just like I usually do in these videos, and then we'll go through all the steps and do it. So let's start with that. Okay, so it's later in the day, but I'll pop this in the beginning of the video. But this is the list of everything that you guys are going to need to do this project to repaint those speaker grills that are kind of rusting out and looking like shit. So the first thing you're going to need is to prep those grills. So I bought some sandpaper at Home Depot. This is 60 grit. This is the coarsest one I could find. I don't think it really matters, and if it's like too coarse, it's going to get less gritty as I use it. So it'll become fine if it's too gritty, so don't care. It'll work. Then once you're done sanding it, you can go ahead and spray it off with some water or something, and I got some acetone just to clean it up real nice. Okay. Then you're going to want to go ahead and prime the grill, so I bought some automotive primer. So we'll see how this works. I got this off of Amazon, and then I had this laying around from when I had to do some touch-up paint on the dashboard of the Suburban a couple years ago when I bought it. I got this on Amazon, I think, as well. So for my Suburban, the color on the dash, it's saying medium neutral, and I think, so that must be like the darker color in the Suburban, the darker brownish, whatever. And the seats, I think, are called shale or something. Not really sure. But so I got this on Amazon. So that's everything you're going to need. And then you guys won't know it yet in this part of the video, but I also needed to buy some Loctite for an oops that you saw me do later. So let's go ahead and get started. So another thing that's not required for this project, but I think would definitely be helpful, is going ahead and getting one of these auto trim removal kits. I bought this one on Amazon. I'll go ahead and link it below. But yeah, so you know, it's just one of those kits that has all these little plastic tools that help you remove all the different bits from the car that have like little retaining clips and stuff like that. It helps you get in there and pry them off without breaking anything or scraping up the paint that's on them. I've removed lots of different pieces from many different cars I've had over the years, and I finally was like, you know what, I'm just going to buy one of these, and that was a good investment. This has made everything super easy so far. So I would definitely recommend, and this one's really nice. So yeah, I'll go ahead and link it below, and I think that'll make any job where you're having to remove panels off a car a lot easier. Okay, so step one, let's do kind of the slightly more complicated parts first. We could have started with, there's a little bolt that we can take out, but let's go ahead and start prying some of these plastic bits off. So that way we can take this panel off, and then once we take the panel off the door, we can go ahead and actually take the grate out, and that'll make it a lot easier to really cleanly spray it and sand it and do all that type of stuff without messing up the rest of the door panel. Okay, so we're gonna swing it around, and I don't really know which one of these pry tools would be better to use, but let's just go ahead and take, I guess, this off first. Let's see how that goes. These come off pretty nice, I guess. Kind of hard to do it with one hand, but let's see. Oh, perfect, okay. Oh, well that was freaking easy. Okay, so door lock is out. I'm gonna kind of remember that orientation. And let's go ahead and we need to remove this piece, and then we need to remove this little thing around the door handle. Okay, so to remove this guy, I just did it without the camera on. I didn't realize it was gonna be so easy. But we're just removing this plate that goes around the window switch. Oh, hello. But anyhow, I just used this guy and I shoved it under here and pretty much just pulled up gently but firmly. And as you can see, this guy just pops right up. It's held in by 4 little clippies that are built into the switch unit itself. I'm just gonna go ahead and pop this over here. And now this little switch, I guess, is free in there. I don't really know how that sits in there, to be honest with you. We'll look at it later when we have to put it back together. But yeah, now let's remove this guy. So I think, can I just like get my hand in here, or how's that work? Let me put the camera down for a second. Okay, I just got this guy kind of wedged in here, and I'm just gonna go around the edges, and hopefully, oh, this seems like it's coming off really easy. Okay, that goes off, and then, can I open? Sorry, this is really hard with one hand. Let me see, I'm gonna hold the camera with one hand. And then maybe, I think it's kind of the niggle it. Yeah, if you had like both of your hands here, you could hold this door handle open out a little bit, and then take that off. All right, so perfect. Now we have all the little trim bits taken off of this rear door. This is the rear passenger door. So you take all the trim bits off. Now you're gonna notice there's a bolt back here. I believe we need to take that off. And then we need to take off this bolt down here. So let's go ahead and get the bit for that and the bit for that. I think this one's a little bigger, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm back. So I went to the garage and got myself a socket wrench with an extender this time. Gee, I wonder who never has the tools they need to work on a project. Definitely not a guy that was putting wheel spacers on his truck. But anyhow, I am back, and so for this nut right there, or screw, whatever, that takes a, let me look. It is a 10 millimeter, and then the one below is a little smaller, so I haven't found that one yet. But we're gonna go ahead and take that bolt off, then I'll do that one, and then we can lift up on this panel and pull out. Okay, so now that I'm back from my garage, I have a small little socket wrench with a 7 millimeter bit, and we're gonna take off this screw right here. And I believe I actually was mistaken earlier. I don't think we need to take that bolt out, actually. We'll kind of do trial by error. We're gonna take this bolt out and see if I can just lift this whole panel up and out. But yeah, I think that actually might be able to stay there. So let's go ahead and see. Okay, so right now all I've done is taken off trim piece, trim piece, trim piece, screw bolt thing. Let's go ahead and see if I can just pull up on this. I don't know. I feel like I need to pry out some clips on the side of this first. Let me kind of look around the edge a little bit and see if I see anything. Well, shit. So I knew that there was one more screw besides the one to take off, and I thought, oh, it was that one, that looks right. Turns out, didn't even notice there was a screw underneath here, kind of hidden. So I just broke this. Oops. But learning lesson, don't do that at home. Yeah, so didn't need to take that bolt out after all. There was one right there that needed to go. So it's 2 bolts. There's no retaining clips holding this panel in. So you just take those 2 bolts out, lift up gingerly, and then it comes right off, and then you just need to undo the wiring for the light. But yeah, that was my oops. Oops. So we're gonna look past the fact that this door panel is now broken. I might try to like glue this back together. No one will know the difference. Whatever, we'll deal with that later. But anyhow, you can see from the back, the reason why we had to take this whole panel off was to pry the grate out of here. Some people, I think, have said you can try to remove the grate without taking this whole panel off, but you're probably going to bend up this grate because it's not that strong because it's cheap metal. But yeah, so we're just going to kind of unbend these guys and push this grate out, and then we can go ahead and give it a quick sand, spray it with some primer, give it a nice coat of paint, and then slap all this stuff back on. So we tend to learn from experience, right? So I figured, you know, doing the second back door, I would go ahead and kind of let you guys know two things I learned. When taking the trim piece off of this, it is much easier to start prying from this back edge. That's just the way the clips are designed. So if you pry from this back edge, then the clips on the front, you know, you can just pry from the back and slide it out. And then same with this trim piece down here. It's a lot easier the way the clips are designed to pry out from the top, and then you pry out from the top and just pull it up, and it comes out much easier than trying to pry from the bottom or the sides, just based on the design of the clips. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so step one, go ahead and sand these guys down. So I guess, I mean, you don't really have to sand it that much, I don't think. Just to kind of take off the shiny surface of the existing paint that's left on there. I'm going to go ahead and sand the front and the back, and then I'll just prime everything real nice. So let's go ahead. I'm trying to really focus on the parts that are rusting already, kind of try to get as much of that rust off as possible. And that'll be really good for the primer and the paint to adhere to that nice. Okay, so I think that looks pretty well sanded to me. Yeah, I think we're going to go from here now. So I'm just going to go ahead and rinse this off with some water, then give it a wipe down with the acetone, make sure it's nice and dry, and we'll go ahead and spray these puppies. Okay. So you can still see some of the rust spots here on the grill. So we're just going to go ahead and put these down here. That looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and switch hands. Grab the primer. And let's give this a little good shot. Doesn't need to be too pretty. Okay, so I've gone ahead and sprayed these with the primer, and they've dried now for at least 15 minutes or so, and it's really hot out here, so they're totally dry. You can touch them, they're fine. So we're going to go ahead and paint them now with the actual color, and we'll probably do a couple light coats with that, and then that should be good. One thing to note is when you're doing all this painting with the primer and with actual paint, go ahead and make sure, you know, hold it from different directions and spray it all different ways, because if you look at like sideways, after my first coat I noticed I missed some spots. So go ahead and flip it around and really spray from many different angles, and you'll really make sure you've covered every single bit of the metal with paint so you don't get more rust later on. Okay, so it's the next day, and I'm going to go ahead and install these rear door panels, then I'll go ahead and do the front ones. But I did want to show how well, this is the part of the rear passenger side door panel that I actually broke off because I didn't remove that one screw. And I just got some Loctite plastic welding stuff, and it looks like it's really strong. I just totally caked it in there, so that's like solid plastic now, or resin. But yeah, so I just wanted to show that and see how good that did. So I'm going to mount this all together and then go ahead and continue on with the front. But yeah, so that's the finished product, and I think it turned out pretty good. I don't really know if you can see in this lighting, but absolutely no rust showing, obviously, because it's freshly painted and primed. But yeah, I think that turned out really nice, and it really makes, you know, something that would make the car look really old and really show its age. Now it looks like it came off the factory floor. So I think that's a good way to help make your car look just fresh again. And it's not expensive, and it's not really that time consuming either. So I think that was a good way to make the Suburban look just really fresh. Also, a neat piece of information for anyone that owns one of these vehicles, I did not realize that these map pockets in the front doors could actually come out. I had seen before it looked like it was a separate piece, but I could never get it up. I didn't realize that, here's the one from the driver's side, underneath there's a screw. Let me hop out, and there it is right there. So that is pretty handy. Just unscrew that one little bolt, and these things pop out, and you can clean them if your kids spill anything in there, so that's pretty awesome. So that's a neat little tidbit I just realized after owning this car for how many years now? So onto the front door, and these are going to be very similar to what we did on the rear of the car. We're going to go ahead and remove this little triangle panel, which is just held in with retaining clips, so we'll pry that off. We're going to go ahead and take this off, and this is just held in with retaining clips as well, so it'll pry up and out. We're going to pry that off, and we're going to pry that trim off. Then what we're going to do is, once we have this kind of pulled up and out, we're going to go ahead and remove the wiring harness. And then since we have this out, then we'll go ahead and remove the little screw that is behind there. And then there is another screw in here. We're going to go ahead and remove that. And at that point, we should be able to lift up on the door and kind of pull it out, and that'll give us access to any remaining wiring harnesses for the heated seats and the light that we can go ahead and remove, and then the whole door panel should be able to come just right off. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Well, that was easy. Okay, and so that's how you take apart the door panels on a 2000 to 2006 Chevy Suburban, and that applies to the same time period of Silverado, Yukon, Yukon XL, the whole GM truck and SUV spectrum. But yeah, I hope that this video was really helpful for anyone that needed to achieve that. And I also hope that it was just really helpful to show that it really can be easy to take apart different parts of the vehicle without having a lot of knowledge previously of how to do that. You saw it was very simple just to pry things off, a couple bolts here and there. And this also shows that it's really easy to make small little improvements to make an older car feel a little bit more new, less run down, because the car as a whole is still in very good shape. It runs great. I'm thankful that in the last 80,000 miles I've owned it, it's needed nothing but just regular maintenance as far as changing fluids and stuff. But yeah, it's a solid car, and this is just something that's going to help allow me to keep the car for a longer period of time, because it's not going to start looking run down, and it's going to keep me from wanting to just buy a new car, which will save me a little green, which would be great. And you know, it'll be nice to modify the Suburban instead of buying something new that's more expensive and I'm not going to want to touch it or spend the money on it. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. If you thought the video was helpful or fun, give it a nice big thumbs up. Leave a comment below what you guys think my next mod should be. Not something to fix on the Suburban, but an actual mod, something fun. I want to give you guys a fun video. I know a lot of the videos I've been making lately, I think all of them on the Suburban have been fairly boring. I mean, they're helpful for people, but they're not fun. And you know, I'd like to do a fun video now. So go ahead and leave in the comments below what you guys think I should do, something fun for the Suburban, or I could do an activity too, but give me a good mod. Something simple, something basic though. And if you want to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, that would also be awesome. It's at GareBearVillegas. It's in the description below, and I'll probably put it somewhere above my head. But yeah, go ahead, and if you could do those things, that would be great for me. And I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.